Hi, Nitsan.
Hi, Tzvi. I'm very glad to meet you.
Good evening. Hello, Nitsan. We met, I think, only 3 months ago, late April or a bit earlier, upon our realization, both of us and few of our friends, that the corona is here to stay, and we have a reason. We even have a shared why, and we discuss this why upon this conversation. I tend to define um, the organizational culture of a school going through a radical change, an opportunity to realize a problem solving group and the values that this organization has defined along this process. What, in your opinion, can we do, or why did we want to partake and serve this corona crisis that we found ourselves in it April?
Okay, so we are very, very curious people that involved in education in many, many fields and many areas. And we try to seek or look after what happened in the ecosystem that we want to investigate.
Yep, and we define this term ecosystem um, as the best term to describe a small or big education entity, school, class, cluster of schools which has have managed to deal with the change that the corona forced them. And we defined something which we called success stories. We tried and we investigated, we looked for success stories with good results. And in this term, we decided to find eight success stories. You, I think, prefer the term eight problem-solving groups which have
Yeah.
managed to deal with this crisis. Let me
Okay,
give.
so let's talk about some examples that
Yep, yep. Thank
of
you.
the ecosystem.
We have met something like 35 or 40 teachers and much more students. And one of the teachers told me on the Zoom, of course, I faced no obstacles, no closed doors. I could fulfill myself, said by a teacher, I think somewhere in the Galilee, in the school in Misgav. Then, student told us the teacher saw us. I had a voice, said a certain student. School and learning made sense. It's all about people. My definition, our definition, Nitsan, is human-centered practices. The human started to be the center of the whole process.
Very interesting. And if we want to tell our audience about the methodology, can you tell us some details?
Yeah, first of all, we looked for a methodology or a research way, which is we didn't measure things. We interviewed people, we followed people, we chose these eight case studies. Each of them, we gave them or we asked them to give us hours of conversation, of testimonies, and to find out what happened then. And two of us, along this methodology, we are a group of eight people, which I had probably to say it earlier, and two of us served in front or with each of these entities to study what happened there. And along this process, we realized that we found so many testimonials about processes which made sense to teachers, to students, and therefore we decided to look into it and to define what happened upon or according to their testimonials.
Did you enjoy it?
It was fun, except for one matter, which is COVID-19 reality. Part of this conversation were late night at 11 o'clock or later with teachers, but everybody works like this in this process of these eight schools and many others which we didn't meet. So we found or we defined a term we called equalizer. Equalizer, I'm not a musician, but equalizer is a music tool which manages to set some equilibrium between all kind of parameters of the music, and it's a metaphor for what we did in this process. You're a musician or you deal with music,
Yeah, I
Nitzan?
used to play the cello and the contrabass.
but with no equalizer. I
No,
guess.
just my hands and my ears.
Yeah, exactly. But here we need special ears. Actually, listening is a part of what we did to listen to the schools. And upon listening to the schools and to their narratives of this process, we found out that there is a fabric of 8 or 9 parameters, attributes, values that each school, without any kind of collaboration between the schools, they were differentiated, they didn't know of each other. In each school, teachers were talking about leadership, talking about self-fulfillment. They were talking about collaboration, about camaraderie, which is a word that I prefer to use. They were talking about autonomy, about accountability, and then, of course, about agility. All these 8 terms served in all schools, and then we started to look at ourselves and said, what's going on? All schools are talking about the same matters. What are we going to do now?
Okay. So, did you find any differences between students and teachers in this equalizer?
I have to to say something which you didn't consider at the beginning. Only later in this research, I think it was mid-May, we saw that we have a gap and we have also to look what the students say. So we approached 101 students in 4 classes, not necessarily in the schools that we investigated, but students which had, according to their teachers, a good experience in Corona, and we asked them the same question with the same equalizer. We asked them something like, did your accountability and was your accountability enhanced or did it go down? Are you feeling more sure of yourself? Did you fully fulfill yourself? And with this 101 students, we got the same results. All the community, more than 35 teachers and more than 100 students gave the testimonials, which in this case become numerical. They said from 0, which is the situation before Corona, they could choose -2, which means a decrease in all values, or +2, which is an increase in all values. The teacher said that was an increase of 1.6, meaning almost 80% change from the original situation. Students, the same thing about themselves and about the teacher. They said, we found that were noticed. Students said that the teachers pay attention to them. So it was a large agreement without agreeing. I mean, we realize this agreement that this fabric of virtues, organization, culture, attributes really did go up. And then we started to ask what's going on. How did it happen? And what happened then?
Do you think it's a surprise?
I'll say 2 things. First of all, it's a surprise to be happy to find that what you think will happen happens. So in a way, it was surprise. It was because I wasn't sure when we enter this approach, this research, that you'll find it. But after finding this large agreement, no, it's not a surprise. Students or teachers or entities or all the ecosystem, they were ready to face the corona crisis, the lockdown. So they were ready.
Okay, let's talk about it for a minute. Okay, because you choose the only success stories. Why is that?
I was asked this question many times in the last 2 months. Only also along the process, why don't you look for failures, etc.? We chose only schools with success, but schools that are normal schools. We didn't choose private schools. We didn't go to schools that were gathered, that were defended by very good teachers. We choose regular schools that had this success. Why didn't we choose failures? Because if you choose failure, you have to explain the failure. We wanted to find out the common denominator between the success reasons. What happened then there, and can it be established? Can it be gained in any other schools around this country or anywhere else? And this is why we decided to choose only success stories. And I will even put it another way. I don't care what happens in the failure stories, because I care about giving people the motive to succeed. And I will say, following this, every school can change, every school can move on to a radical change, having the right way to do it, and the right way is not the genes, it's not given by the Ministry of Education, it's given by internal forces, which in a way is your way of looking at people, enhancing
Okay,
their
so
abilities.
we can talk about maturity and about mindset.
I think that maturity is the correct term here. Mindset, you will have to give me more explanation what it means. Mindset is the approach with which I'm going into the situation. Maturity is my readiness or my ability or competences to move on. Now, yes, we're talking about maturity, we're talking about schools and teachers and students that had good experience in the past that saw that it can happen. So we are talking about maturity, but this maturity is not something, I have to emphasize it. It's not something that people were born with. It's something that a long process can serve to give people, to give organization, to enhance them, or even to facilitate the way in order to become ready to such a, not to such a crisis, to such a challenge, because crises will not occur so oftenly. But challenges are the way, change is the way of moving on.
Okay, so change is part of life, right? And we
Change is
all
part of
have this,
life. Yep.
yeah, this coronavirus, this earthquake, okay? And each and every one of us deals differently with his parameters, with his capabilities, right?
Furthermore, it deals with his, but also in partnership or in camaraderie with other people which have other forces, other abilities, other competences, but together we form, going back to the beginning, a problem solving group. Every class, a teacher from the north, I met her, I was a part of her lesson early May, I think, and she told the students, guys, we are together in a problem which I don't know, I cannot solve alone. I need you to learn how to deal with this task or with this matter, working from home and to study. So
Okay,
everybody
so
faced it.
it's very, very important parameter, not alone.
You're not alone. You're with friends or with not friends necessarily, but with people you trust and you can work with. Nitsan, we never met. We are working 3 months already. We never met, only through the Zoom and other phone also works. Yeah.
Yeah, I think many people met just through the digital platforms, whatever, Google, Microsoft, Zoom. And yeah, we're still partying and we're still creating and we're still making value for the people in the world.
And I'll tell you, or I'll give everybody who might listen to our conversation, last example from the Bedouin section in Israel, which is not privileged. There is no cellular, or for sure no computer in every home. And the student of education said that she managed things with the teachers in the school that she worked in it to be better or to be excellent with the other. She became camarade, she became a partnership with regular experienced teachers. They said, we can learn something for you. Everybody can learn from everybody else if you have a problem to solve.
Thank you very much. It was a great honor working with you.
And Nitzan, we are going on to the future to work together. We still have problems to work with and to solve and to facilitate solutions to schools. Thank you, Nitzan.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.